I'm Casey Claiborne, and thanks for watching this CrimeWatch YouTube exclusive, where we take a look back at recent crime stories that have been making headlines in our area. A mother and son wanted since 2016 in a fatal hit and run are now in custody. Fox 7 Austin's Carissa Limco has more on this case.
This is Devin Sanders, a Manor New Tech high school graduate on his way to college before he was killed in a hit and run outside of his home. A detailed arrest affidavit takes us back to that night, July 27th, 2016. Manor police responding to a reckless driver call found knocked over trash cans, a damaged truck, and Devin Sanders' body, and remnants of a car that was no longer there. They were later able to identify Thomas Bernal as the driver of that car because he was the last one to be texting with Sanders regarding an exchange of marijuana, according to the affidavit. Not long after, local law enforcement were tipped off that Bernal, along with his mother Deborah, were headed to Mexico. In 2016, Devin's mother made this plea.
And I forgive this person, and I want this person not to be suffering with this guilt of what's happened to my child. You know, he'll never have children. He'll never have a family. I'll never get to see that. But I do want this person to have peace. I do want this person to come forward, you know, to take some responsibility, because a child should not have had to die like this. And I feel that we do need some closure.
7 years later, she may have gotten that. In November of 2016, Manor police requested assistance from the Austin division of the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force. And with the help of foreign law enforcement, Thomas Bernal and his mother, Deborah, were captured Tuesday, May 16th, by Mexican authorities and deported back to the U.S. Thomas Bernal faces 2 charges, including second-degree felony manslaughter. Deborah Bernal faces a third-degree felony tampering with physical evidence charge. Carissa Limco, Fox 7 Austin News.
Also in Manor, we have more information on a fatal hit and run from May 22nd. Manor PD has identified the victim as 54-year-old Alyssa Allen. Her body was found in a ditch just before 3 a.m. at the intersection of Greg Manor Road and Highway 290. Police have not released any suspect or suspect vehicle information. If you were in the area that night between 12:10 and 12:25, you're encouraged to contact Manor Police with any information. A Copper's Cove woman is pleading for help to get a bullet out of her arm. She was shot 6 times by an off-duty police officer during a road rage shooting. This isn't Lucretia Murray's first run-in with law enforcement, though. She was imprisoned at the age of 11. Fox 7 Austin's Meredith Aldis has more on the story, as Murray is now suing the city of Copper's Cove and the off-duty officer.
This world, somebody has to go through something. Why not me? I'll go through it. Head up, chest out. Let's go, if that's what God wants me to go through.
And Lucretia Murray has the scars to prove it. She's living with a bullet in her arm after being shot almost 2 years ago. Murray says she has a lot of people against her, and it all started when she was 11 years old.
It just changed me completely because I never was able to be a child.
In 1996, Murray was babysitting 2-year-old Jayla Belton when the child died. Austin police interrogated Murray, and at 11 years old, she became the youngest person to ever be charged with murder in Travis County.
It was going to be my first year in middle school. I never went to jail, so I had to learn everything in jail, everything that a female is supposed to learn as a child.
She was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in a youth prison.
Certain facility that I was at, every day it's required to watch 15 minutes of news. Every day. It's just a requirement. So every time we turned on the news, guess who was on there? Me. So people were picking, fighting me. I was jumped by like 5 18-year-old girls.
Just a couple months after the conviction, Michael Lofton started a TV show to investigate the case.
I saw a lot of things, and I said something doesn't seem right. And I just at that point said, you know what, at the end of the day, when I looked at her, reminded me of my daughter. My daughter was 6 at the time. She was 11. There's about a 5 or 6 year gap, depending on the months. And I said, you know, would I sit back, you know, and allow this here to happen to my daughter? And absolutely not.
Lofton says he presented the TV show to the Justice Department.
I didn't in depth know how much she was doing for me.
The judge threw out the verdict, and a second trial took place. That jury also found Murray guilty and sentenced her to 25 years in a youth prison. But Lofton didn't stop fighting.
I kept saying, this is my baby girl, this is my baby girl, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to get her out. So we got her out.
In 1999, Murray's conviction was overturned. The judge determined police had illegally obtained a confession from her.
I had already been in there through 3.5, 4 years already. So when I found out, I called my grandmother on the phone, like a regular phone call you get in jail. And she was like, Keith Hampton's coming to get you. I'm like, why would you play with me like that? She's like, no, for real. I was ecstatic. I was happy.
Murray walked out of the Texas Youth Commission at the age of 15.
When I got out of prison, I had to change. It was so big, I had to change my name. I had to go to some private school because they didn't think it was safe for me to go to public school at the time because I just got out. My face was on every newspaper. I was being threatened. I had to wear a bulletproof vest.
During the years that followed, Murray was arrested several more times.
It's still hard to get back to a normal life at the age I am today.
About 2 years ago, she had another run-in with law enforcement. Murray says she was driving home from the store in Copper's Cove, started not feeling well, and turned around to head to the hospital.
I backed up into someone's driveway to turn back around and go the opposite way. And as I was trying to do that, the officer car was coming. I didn't know he was an officer, but he was coming, and he kind of like, he almost hit my truck, but went around instead of letting me back all the way up and go. So when he did that, he got in front of me.
Murray says he started slowing down, so she went around him.
And then I stopped and I got out the car holding my stomach where my hernia is, where I have problems at. And then he just immediately pulled his gun, and I put my hands up like this. And then I walked back to my truck, and he just opened fire and walked me down shooting.
Murray was shot 6 times. The shooter was off-duty officer Eric Stoneburner.
Why do you think he shot at you?
Road rage.
Stoneburner resigned after the incident. He was charged with aggravated assault. Murray still has a bullet in her arm.
Because sometimes this arm, it'll lock up like this and it'll stay for a week and I can't do nothing. It'll loosen up eventually. It'll swell up like this. It hurt.
After hearing about what happened, Lofton, with the African American Youth Harvest Foundation, came back into Murray's life.
Life has never been, to the point where she can say she's back on the right track because, what she's been through 11 has followed her even up to this point, and then this happening. How does one survive being shot 6 times and still have a straight face, and to talk about it?
Lofton is trying to raise funds to get the bullet out of Murray's arm and assist with housing, clothing, food, and education.
I have a lot of people against me, but I deal with it with the grace of God. But personally, I deal with it by myself. But when you get somebody or a few people or organization in your life that's for you, that's the best feeling in the world.
Lofton says he wants to see Murray share her experiences and encourage youth in the community.
She's very intelligent, she's very sharp, she's strong-minded, and after going through what she's been through, I think she can tell a story that can help other folks that have went through things.
To help Murray, contact the African American Youth Harvest Foundation. Meredith Aldis, Fox 7 Austin News.
The Austin Police Department needs the public's help identifying the person who stole a Kia and crashed into a home. Video shows a stolen white Kia Soul crashing into a home in East Austin. One suspect runs away and 2 other cars, a Kia and Hyundai, leave quickly. All are believed to be stolen vehicles. Police say this type of crime is on the rise, saying it's one of about 600 cases of Kias and Hyundais being stolen in Austin in just the last 6 months. Many cases used in violent felonies. Investigators say these criminals are exploiting a design vulnerability with those cars, starting them up with only a screwdriver and a USB cable.
These cases have grown significantly in a short amount of time, so we're doing the best we can to work the caseload that we have, but we do have a lot of cases and we're working as hard as we can to try to solve those cases.
About a third of the vehicles being stolen in Austin are Kias and Hyundais. Detectives encouraging owners of those cars to get a steering wheel lock, a tracking system, or an alarm system. Police are investigating a fatal shooting in South Austin. APD responded to a shots fired call around 9:00 p.m. on May 22nd near South Park Meadows. When police got there, they found one person with injuries. The victim was rushed to a local hospital where they later died. Officers have detained one person in connection to the shooting. Austin police are looking for a hit-and-run driver who injured a pedestrian. It happened around midnight on May 15th near I-35 and Capitol Drive in North Austin. Police say a pickup truck hit the pedestrian while they were walking south on the service road. The driver left the scene and did not call 911. The victim was taken to a hospital with life-threatening injuries. The suspect's vehicle is described as a dark-colored Chevrolet Silverado or a GMC Sierra, and the front of the truck could be damaged due to the crash. If you have any information, call Austin Police. There's a reward of up to $1,000 for information that leads to an arrest. Police need the public's help identifying remains found in December of 2021 in southeast Austin. After a year and a half of no answers, they're now working with a forensic genealogy lab. Fox 7 Austin's Angela Shin has the details there.
In the woods near Alum Rock Drive in southeast Austin, a shocking discovery in December of 2021.
A citizen was walking home and decided to take a shortcut through a field or like a wooded area and just stumbled upon skeletal remains, what he thought was a human skull.
Police responded and eventually found a partial skeleton, but they haven't been able to figure out who the person is. They say there were no signs of trauma to the remains that were found.
There wasn't any soft tissue left. It was skeletonized, but not enough that they were so weathered that it was obvious for years. So we're thinking months to a few years, somewhere in that, but it's a huge estimation.
A forensic artist came up with this drawing based on the shape of the skull. Police believe the person was between 16 and 20 years old. They don't know what his height and weight were. Investigators started looking at missing persons in Austin that maybe fit the biological profile. They sent a DNA profile to a database but didn't get any hits. Now APD is partnering with a company called Othram, based in the Woodlands.
Right now, we are the only place on Earth where you can get this type of DNA profile.
They do a feasibility assessment to make sure that the case would work with their technology. It's exponentially more detailed than a traditional DNA test.
We're able to build DNA profiles that have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of markers. That allows us to upload those profiles to DNA databases consented for law enforcement use that can be used for genealogy.
DNA Solves is Othram's advocacy site, crowdfunding for testing on previously unsolved cases across the country.
Unfortunately, as with everything that's new, there is not enough federal funding for this technology right now.
We'll get it taken care of one way or another, but we thought maybe this is a good way to get it out there.
It touches my heart because we brought hope to people that lost hope after all these years of not having the right technology to actually get those answers.
In the case of the Austin John Doe, the goal is to find a relative through genealogy to get a step closer to figuring out who he is.
We don't think they're a missing person in Austin. There's somebody's missing person, right? Like it's somebody's child.
Angela Shen, Fox 7 Austin News.
If you believe you know who the person may be, call Crime Stoppers. And if you want to contribute to the crowdfund, we have a link on our website, fox7austin.com. Thanks for watching the Fox 7 Austin Crime Watch YouTube exclusive. Our Crime Watch stories run each Monday on Fox 7 Austin News at 9. For more on the stories highlighted in this episode, you can head to our website, fox7austin.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the Fox 7 Austin YouTube channel.